what I do is lease option assignments, where I don't negotiate with the seller on anything. I just say, okay, how much you want for the house? 300,000 or whatever it is, $250,000. Okay, great. And I structure those numbers. So they're going to get right at or very, very close to that $250,000, whatever they're asking. The monthly payment is going to go, it's not going to go through me. It goes directly to them. So once they get all the terms put in place, they say, yep, that looks good. Fantastic. They sign the contract. Boom, we start marketing. Now the end buyer comes along, pays us our assignment fee, which is about 4, maybe 5%. And then they're making that monthly payment then to the homeowner. We're out of the deal.
Hey everyone, Jamel Gibbs here. Welcome to another podcast episode. Today we have another special guest. Listen, this guy is in the Texas market, absolutely crushing it when it comes to lease options. In fact, I would call him the king of lease options in the U.S., not only in Texas. He has a lot of knowledge on how to operate a lease option deal, which is one of the perfect ways to invest in real estate right now. I'm a big fan of lease options. I do a lot of them myself, but there's even some intricate details. In fact, the other day, I was talking with John, and he told me a little bit about some of the laws, I guess an add-on, an addendum to a contract in North Carolina in order to protect myself and the deal itself. Something I had absolutely no idea about. So that's why it's important to talk to guys who specialize in certain areas. Now, listen, I've been in the business for 20 years, 19 years at this point. I'm still learning stuff every single day. I'm sure some of you have jumped, who are on this podcast, have jumped into the business at some point, maybe years ago or maybe recently. Either way, we're all still learning. We're here to help each other. And that's why I love doing these podcasts. That's why I love continuing to do deals and networking with people who actually do the business. All right. Like I said, John is definitely, now I know you're in, is it Houston, John?
I'm in the Fort Worth area.
Fort Worth, Dallas. I was actually, the reason why I brought up Houston, because I was with Julie, who's a colleague of both of ours in Houston back in February when I went to go speak at AC Ramos's event. And in fact, I got to get AC on this podcast too. But so we were, your name came up and she said that you were killing it in the Texas market. So I automatically thought Houston. But yeah, I haven't seen you since Tampa. I did see you there. That was back in October. But next time we see each other, man, we definitely got to spend a little more time and see how we can help each other out a little bit more. But everybody, welcome John Jackson to the call. What's up, man?
What is up, Jamel, man? So good to see you. So glad to be on here. And yeah, you said something really important is, we're all always learning. And I always say this, Jamel, I always say, when I stop learning, I stop earning. And I think that's the truth. Yeah, I've done lease options for 17 years. I know I look really young, so you're thinking I probably started when I was 10. That's about right. But yeah, I've done lease options for 17 years. There's always still some things that I learn and tweak and adjust. And whether it be about a particular, like North Carolina, about some specific statutes they have. Obviously, I'm known for Texas, and I'm the only educator who teaches lease options in Texas. But you're always learning. You're always learning and learning from different people and picking up different ideas. And you never think that you know it all. By any means. I'm always learning and tweaking and adjusting. So definitely, yeah. And again, I'm so glad to be on this show with you, and I'm stoked to give us tons of info out for you, man.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that, man. We're looking forward to the information as well. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump into the meat and potatoes, man.
Yeah, you bet. Well, I'm 5'10", 175 pounds. Oh, wait, this is not the dating show, is it? Sorry, wrong podcast. I'm sorry. If I get a date off this podcast, I owe you, Jamel. All right. So guys, as Jamel said, I'm down here in Texas in the Fort Worth area. My company's Leasing to Buy. I've done hundreds and hundreds of lease options, somewhere around 700 of them. I've lost track. But I've started in 2003. I've trained people since, 2006, 2007, I guess. And now I train people as well to do lease options. I specialize in lease option assignments. Now, our good friend Joe McCall coined the phrase wholesaling lease options. It's the same thing. You're just flipping the contract. That's what I specialize in, and that's what I teach people to do as well. The nice thing about lease option assignments is you're working with nice houses, nice areas. Doesn't matter about the equity at all. These are just nice move-in ready houses. You're not dealing with cruddy houses and cruddy areas. I never have to estimate repairs or any of that garbage. I've done some wholesaling. I don't like it. What I do is this, guys. I call it pool money versus pee money. All right. I deal with nice houses. Some of them have pools. I don't go into a house that smells like you know what. All right. That's a wholesaler's thing. That's not my thing. I dress too nice for that pee money. All right. I don't give me the pool money. That's what I deal with, is nice houses, nice areas. But it doesn't matter about the equity, and we're not negotiating with the seller. We're presenting them a lease option where they're going to get full price and cash flow each month, and we're going to make our assignment fee. The seller's happy, the buyer's happy, and that's what we specialize in. And Jamel, you're dead on. You're absolutely right. Guys, this is the time for lease options. Because as the market pulls back and may inevitably crash, don't know, but as it pulls back, guys, there's 3 strategies that you're going to hear a lot about. Subject to short sale and lease options. Yep. Now, subject to, you better have access to some money for most cases. Short sale, you better have access to a lot of time, all right, a lot of patience. Lease options doesn't require time or money. It's just very quick transactions. That's what I specialize in. And we do them all over the U.S. So, guys, you can do lease options in every state, every city. I don't care where you are, you can do them. Awesome, man.
So let's dig into the nitty gritty of this whole thing, man. So just to give you guys an example, I'm a huge advocate of creative investing, primarily lease options, specifically because you can get paid up front every month and you get paid on the back end if you structure the deal the right way as well. Let's talk about finding some of these lease options. What are some of the things that's working for you right now, John?
Yeah, I tell you, I just got a call with a training call, and there's different ways. What I do is really painstakingly simple. So there's different ways you can use different platforms like the automated REI to do scraping up Zillow and Craigslist and do text blasting. You can go, you can use that. You can do cold calling, of course, for sale by owner, for rent by owners. What I do, because I'm not an agent, and this is going to shock everybody listening, I do direct mail to over 60 DON. That's my bread and butter.
Now repeat that one more time.
I do direct mail to over 60 DON. So so I have my target area. If there's houses that have been listed for over 60 days on the market, boom, I hit them. If they hit my criteria, my price range, right? And I have a very specific mail piece that I send to them. Now, I'm not an agent. I can do that, all right? Now, I've got a way that I work with listed houses. It's actually very simple. But that's my bread and butter. So to give you an idea, if I spend, because I've got this dialed in, Jamal, if I do, so one of the lists we pulled a month ago, 380 pieces. Yeah, 380-ish pieces. Cost me $400 because my mail piece is not some ugly, crappy postcard, right? So it cost me $400-ish. Well, out of that $400, we got, I think it was 9 or 10 sellers that called me. And out of that, so far, we've gotten, I think we just signed our 4th lease option deal. Which of those deals is going to, on average, get about $10,000 assignment fee? That's pretty good ROI.
Let's stop there for a second. 2 killer points. Already, we're just getting started on this call, guys. Listen, 2 killer points already. Listen, John said, that's why I had him repeat it. He's pulling lists that have been on the market for at least 60 days. Then from that small list, he's spending minimal. I mean, if you think about direct mail, you're going to spend a couple of $1,000 if you're using broader lists. He's narrowing it down to a point where he could spend, $300-400, get enough seller calls in to be able to negotiate deals. So you don't need a large budget with these deals, and you're separating yourself from everyone else who's bombarding these sellers. You're taking a different approach, and that's why you're able to get more deals. You're lessening the competition, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. There's almost no competition. So when I'm hitting, these sellers are getting my mail piece. Is everybody is following absentee high equity, right? On that same list. If you want to pull absentee low equity, we're talking like 3 years or less of origination, right? Because if they're absentee owner and there's 3 years or less of origination, guys, they fall into two categories. They're either an investor or an accidental landlord, right? An accidental landlord, what is that? That's somebody who bought the house and within 3 years or whatever, like, oh crap, we gotta relocate it to Ohio or whatever. That's an accidental landlord. They didn't mean to be a landlord. Now they got this house they're trying to rent, or they have rented it. It's a thorn in their side. So absentee owner, low equity is also a really good list.
Awesome, man. So they start finding the deals. We're going for absentee, low equity. We're going for 60 days on the market or more. And we're trying to keep our marketing budget as small as possible. If we can stand to keep it low, because obviously if there's a lot of leads available, we want to send all of them, or correct me if I'm wrong.
So it depends on your marketing budget. So for example, so let's assume that your area has, 1,400 houses that fit your criteria. Maybe if you don't have $1,400, then you're going to split that up, right? Say 400, pull that 400. And then just cut that up, But you don't have to spend. You hear about these wholesalers that are behemoths out there in the world of wholesaling, and they're doing $5,000, $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 a month in marketing. That just makes me want to curl up in the fetal position. Like, if I can pop out $500, and get 3 or 4 leads out, 3 or 4 deals out of it. That's my style. I don't want to spend $10,000 a month on direct mail.
Yeah, excellent, man, excellent. So, what does that marketing message look like? What does it pertain for our listeners to be able to grasp and be able to start contacting and driving leads into their business?
Okay, oddly enough, if you're gonna let me step away from the camera for about 3 seconds, I actually have a piece that we just got a direct mail piece back.
Do you
want
think?
to see it? You want to see it?
Awesome.
I think I do. So here's the most powerful direct mail piece. Oh, look at Jamel. He's getting all set. He's like, let's take a look at this. So this just came back to us. It's right here. Now, this is a trifold brochure right here. So you get it. It comes in the mail. It looks like this. So we're utilizing both sides of the trifold brochure. All right. And it talks about just hitting the bullet points. What's their pain? How long are you going to let that house sit on the market,
I love it, man.
And we hit about the pain. We talk about the pain, and we talk about, hey, and we hit our solution. Here's what we do, and here's how we do it. You're going to get full price, no commission. You're going to cash flow each month. And here's the thing that we do, Jamal, is while we're marketing that lease purchase, we tell the homeowner, keep it out there on the market. If you got it for sale by owner, listen, whatever, we don't care. In other words, we do something opposite. We don't say, give us 90 days. No, I don't care if you put a for sub owner sign. I literally will put my sign right next to the owner sign that says for sub owner. I don't care. And the owners love that, because here's the thing: if you approach this as if this were your house, well, if it was your house, you want to have every avenue available to market your house.
Right.
One of the things that people don't like about agents is that agents say, okay, basically, I own this house now for 6 months because I got the listing. Owners don't like that. With me, I'm like, I don't care what you do. You never pay me a dime, right? So, but anyway, this is the most powerful direct mail piece right there. There you go.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you contact the sellers. That's the first thing, obviously. We're focusing on, just to recap, we're focusing on 60 days or more in the market. We want to send out a similar mailing piece to what John has, and just kind of separate yourself from everyone else. And we're not looking for beaters. We're looking for properties that are in decent shape. So low equity absentees would actually work really well.
Yep.
Awesome, man. So what's next?
All right. So we send that out. The homeowner calls us, says, hey, John, I got your thing in the mail. I just want to find some more information. That initial call is normally very short. I don't go into all the details about every single thing about lease option. I just say, I had that quick conversation with the seller. I guess said, let me get some information from you. So I guess your house is for sale? Yes, it is. What's the address? All right, thanks a lot. Well, how much are you asking? Okay. Now, have you already moved from the house? Are you relocating? What's going on? And they'll tell me, we're moving in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever the case may be. All right, get the information. And I tell them, what we do is a short-term, full-price lease purchase, no commission. And you're typically going to cash flow each month. But I tell you what, let me pull some data on my end. I can shoot you an email later today with some more information. I get their email address. That's it. I just had a conversation with the seller. I don't need to know how many bathrooms does it have, and all
of that stuff.
I don't need to know about what's your interest rate on your mortgage. I don't care.
Right.
I just do you want to sell your house? Yeah. For how much? What's your email address? Boom. See ya. Let's go. Then I send out the email with here's how it works, and it shows them. Boom. Here's the lease purchase. Here's how it works. Then I put out the numbers. Here's exactly how the numbers come together, and they can see. Wow, I'm going to make a lot more money this way than having it listed.
Right.
If they get to see the numbers, and I call up the next day. You have any questions? Their number one. Oh, get this, Jamel. The number one question a seller has. All right. And once I send them those numbers, and I call them the next day. Guess what? The number one question is, bar none, that every homeowner has.
When can we get started?
How fast can I find somebody?
Wow. Look at that. So really, you're not doing any selling. The system sells itself.
Yeah, they see that there's a lot of them say a lot of them think this is too good to be true, but they just want to know how fast can you find somebody. Well, let's see what we can do.
Excellent, man.
Yeah.
I just locked up one myself here in my local market. Now, the guy, this is it's not necessarily a pretty house, but it's not a beater either. I basically paid him what he was asking for. He wanted $1,500 a month. I negotiated it down to $1,000. Got a buyer on the other end to put down $12,000. Give me $1,200 a month, and then I'll collect another $12 on the back end in 3 years. So yep. I'm gonna clean up pretty nicely on that one.
Yeah, that's a sandwich lease option.
Yep, sandwich.
And yep. And what I do is the assignments, so just so everybody knows, listening or watching.
So let's go into detail on that. By the way, yeah. When you're doing these assignments, how are you structuring them?
Right. So there's 3 types of lease options. There's a straight lease option, a sandwich, and a lease option assignment. Okay. Now, what you were just talking about is a sandwich lease option.
Right.
A sandwich lease option is where you are, as the investor, you're negotiating with that owner, that seller, for a lower price point, okay, a lower monthly payment, and as little down as possible. Now, that's the AB transaction. On the BC, you're going to set that price higher, set that monthly payment higher, and you're going to get however much you can down. In your case, I think you said $12,000. What happens at sandwich lease option, you're sandwiched between the buyer and the seller. The buyer pays you, you pay the seller. Buyer pays you, you pay the seller, right? So that's a sandwich lease option. What I do is lease option assignments, where I don't negotiate with the seller on anything. I just say, okay, how much you want for the house? $300,000 or whatever it is, $250,000. Okay, great. And I structure those numbers. So they're going to get right at or very, very close to that $250,000, whatever they're asking. The monthly payment is going to go, it's not going to go through me. It goes directly to them. So once they get all the terms put in place and they say, yep, that looks good. Fantastic. They sign the contract. Boom, we start marketing. Now the end buyer comes along, pays us our assignment fee, which is about 4, maybe 5%. And then they're making that monthly payment then to the homeowner. We're out of the deal. Okay. Now we actually do something very unique, Jamel. We actually help that buyer get financing. So we've got credit improvement. We've got financing in place. So because of that, over 95%, actually over 98%, but 95 to 98% of our buyers get financed within 12 months.
That's awesome, man, because I used to, when I first started investing in real estate, even up until recent years, I would buy, fix, and then put a rent-to-own tenant in there and then help them get financing for a mortgage. That's how I would get my cash out. So essentially what I was doing was I was marketing to people who were looking to rent houses versus buy a house. So let's say, for example, Craigslist, rather than going on putting a house up for sale, I would target them. This was back in like 2005. I would say, buy, don't rent. That was kind of my message.
Yeah.
And then I would attract the people who were looking to rent a house, but turn them into a homeowner. through a rent-to-own situation. So I would help them get the mortgage as well, help them
Yeah.
repair their credit and everything. It was a pretty solid business model.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we do is we help them get prepared for finance. If they need credit improvement, get them in there. Matter of fact, we just got some of this. I'm closing on literally as we're recording this in less than 2 hours, I'm closing on a house for one of my students because it's right here. But they'll be in credit improvement by in 2 days.
Awesome.
And be in touch with the lender. And so, but yeah, it makes them, the seller's happy, the buyer's happy, and it's a win-win-win situation.
So are you you're not collecting monthly income from these, you're just getting rid of the property right away and taking the assignment fee?
It's a one-time pop and then we're out. So just like if you're signing a wholesale deal, right? So in this case, I'm not collecting that monthly, right? And I will say this, guys, and this is me talking, with what Jamal's talking about on a sandwich lease option, and me talking about lease option assignments. I recommend to my students that you do 5 to 6 assignments before you do a sandwich lease option. The reason for that is the assignment, think of like on-the-job training, right? Well, you're getting paid to learn how to do this. And if you make a mistake or whatever, make a little glitch or a little mistake, it's not a big deal, right? Because you have no money.
Right.
You have nothing at risk. You have no money at risk, right? With a sandwich lease option, you can make more money, but there's a little bit of inherent risk in the sense of you're making a payment on a house. You got to know the flow of things. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I recommend doing 5, 6 assignments, and then you go, okay, now I got it. And then it'll make sense when you're doing that sandwich lease option on how to structure that.
Right. So essentially all you're doing is you're taking an assignment fee and then giving the property back to releasing the tenant back to the seller. That's all you're doing, essentially.
Yeah, we're simply assigning it back. We take the contract, assign it to the tenant buyer, boom, we're done. Yep.
That's it, man. So how difficult is it for someone to get started doing something like this?
To get started doing lease option assignment, it helps if you have an IQ over 180. So beyond Mensa. That's the only reason I can do it, Jamal, is because you've got to be incredibly attractive, incredibly smart.
That's the secret then, huh, John?
That's the secret, baby. You got to be very fit, body fat of less than 19%. Man, this is so easy. I was telling this the other day. I said, it's so easy. If you can copy and paste, like with my system, if you can copy and paste, you can do this with what I've got down. But with what I have, I tell people, this is a yo-yo, not a Rubik's Cube. So just because it's not super sexy and there's a lot of lingo and whatever, it doesn't have to be. It's not. Maybe it's just not super sexy. It's just easy. You're simply, taking the contracts and going, hey, Mr. Seller, you want to get full price? Okay. All right. Well, here's the numbers. Okay, great. Whatever. Sign the yard, online ads, whatever. Buyer comes along. Who do I make the cashier's check out to? Leasing to buy. Okay, I'm going to go to Bank of America now. Deposit. I mean, it's just, it's not difficult.
It's just doing paperwork, man, and just finding the right people. Now, obviously, when you're wholesaling houses, I do a bit of that myself. I do a lot of that myself as well. When you're doing wholesaling, there's so many other wholesalers out there. So many people with the same message that you gotta. How can you? I'm constantly thinking, how can I differentiate myself between me and everyone else? Because any Joe Schmo, if we want to call him that, right? Any John Doe can be a wholesaler just like that, right? It doesn't take a lot of brain power to do that. This is just as good, if not better, because most people are not thinking. Most people don't have a creative mindset. They want to put a house on the contract that needs a bunch of work, and then they want to turn around and wholesale wholesale that property for an assignment. Once you start thinking about lease options and subject twos and things like that, which, I know you do as well, John, but I specialize in, all creative real estate investing as well. But once you start making people think a little bit, they back off of it. You know what I mean? They back away from what can actually put some real money in their pocket. So yeah, man, when it comes to lease options, a lot of people, they overthink it. I think it really is a lot. It may be just as easy, if not easier, than doing your typical wholesale deal, because you can pay market value for these properties. Where else can you go and do that? You can still make an assignment fee, because on a lease option, a lot of people don't understand. You can actually bump the number up, because these are people that's going to they don't want to go to the bank to get a loan to buy a property. They're willing to pay more than the property value in order to be able to get the deal done. Am I right?
You're exactly right. So I'll give you a real life example that I'm working on for myself personally, that we'll see what happens. So there's this piece of property that I'm looking to buy. It's real close to here. It's 2 acres with a little creek and this and that. It doesn't even have a house, but it has a building that was I don't know, their grandmother lived there or something. I don't know, whatever. But that building needs to be it's a solid building. I need to gut that house. My builder's going to have to gut that house, put about 40 to 50,000 into it. And it's going to be beautiful. But so I'm meeting with the owners on Friday to present creative financing. What is that? It's giving me a cushion of time to say, hey guys, I'll do, as an example, a short-term lease purchase on this, say 12 months, to allow me to not have to go to a bank and try to get funding for a piece of dirt, for 2 acres of dirt, and then try to get money out to fix this building so I can live in it. I'm going to say it's 12-month lease option, where that gives me time to put the 40 or 50K into this building. I'm living there then, right? And then allows me time to get the financing for the new build, right? In other words, I'm not under massive crunch time to, oh my gosh, I've got to get 2 years of tax returns before I can buy this. No, I almost said screw that. I don't want to say screw that on your podcast. But man, screw that. I don't have to be under that pressure. Give me time. And let me have that time to put all that together, right? So that's a perfect lease purchase, right? Very simple, very easy. It's not difficult,
Yeah, man. Awesome. So let's provide our listeners, I know we've gone through a couple of steps. Let's simplify the steps for them. What are, let's say, 3, maybe 5 steps that they should go through in order to get started from A to Z to get a deal?
Okay. So here's what you do is, first of all, I want to get out of your head, desperate homeowner. Everybody's looking for that desperate seller. Guys, these guys aren't nearly desperate. Some of them are getting desperate. Guys, the homeowners I work with, they're simply looking for plan B, right? They put the house in the market, hadn't sold. Okay, now what are we going to do? Well, I don't know. Should we rent it? No, I don't want to rent it. Oh, wait a minute. What's this thing in the mail? Oh, let's call him. They're not going, oh my gosh, I've got to sell this. It's about to go foreclosure. That's not what we deal with. So they're not desperate. They're just kind of looking for a plan B. Right. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get in front of those people. How do you get in front of them? Well, you can call a for rent by owner. Again, look at a for rent by owner. A for rent by owner is, again, either an investor or an accidental landlord. Hey, I see you're renting your house on such and such on Main Street. Would you be interested in selling it for full price? Maybe to rent to own? You're already renting it. Call every one of those. I see you're renting your house. Would you want to go rent to own? A short-term rent to own. And that's how you start getting in front of them. Call for sale by owners, all right? You can do direct mail if you're not a listed agent. Do direct mail to over 60 DOM, right? That's how you start getting in front of it. So that's step 1. Get in front of those sellers with phone call or direct mail. So you do that. Then you put the numbers together. It's super simple. I know we don't have time to do a whole 5-hour training on setting numbers here, but you get in front of the numbers. You get in front of the sellers. You put the numbers together, put the contracts together, then you market the property. Once you have it under contract, boom, you market the property. You market it online through Facebook ads, Facebook Marketplace. There we go. Yeah. Facebook Marketplace.
That's killer for me, man. Facebook Marketplace. Honestly, I only ever in today's day and age, I only ever market on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. I find as many buyers as I want through those 2 sources.
And we do a lot more Facebook Marketplace now, and using Facebook bots. The bots. So Facebook Marketplace is great. Craigslist is great. I go old school. I actually put a sign in the yard. Oh my God, that's so old school. I know, but it works. But I've got these are nice houses. So I've got nice, aluminum, these are 20 by 18 nice signs. Put them in the yard. Directional signs coming down. The buyers call.
One tip with that, John, for those of you who are putting signs in the yard, what I like to do is put a regular sign, maybe showing the house for rent or for sale, but then I also put a abandoned sign right next to it, just to attract more people in the neighborhood who may be interested in selling. Just a small tip for everyone listening.
Okay, like we buy, you put a sign, but you also put like we buy houses or whatever in there. Yeah, yeah. So that's a great tip, by the way, guys. And so the buyers call and you run through the numbers. It's and you show the property, get the application, get the assignment fee, sign the contract's done.
Get paid, and that's it. Are you closing with an attorney, or are you just closing on your own?
So that's a good question. So a lot of people say, oh, close an attorney. Guys, I've done 700, I don't know how many, for 17 years. I've never used an attorney. A lease option, there's nothing notarized except in the state of North Carolina. Well, as you know, in North Carolina, the seller has to file a memorandum of option.
Right.
But guys, I don't use an attorney to close. The reason people say, you got to close an attorney, or they suggested it, here's the reason. It makes everybody feel warm and fuzzy. Mm-hmm. That's it. So the theory, the thought process is you take this lease option and you close with an attorney, no one's ever going to sue you. Well, that's not life. That's not how it works. It just gives everybody that temporary warm and fuzzy feeling. Guys, I do kitchen table closings. All right, here's your copy. Here's my copy, the seller's copy. Here's this. Sign here. I'm going through the highlights, going through everything. All right, sign here. There you go. Here's your copy. Where's my money?
That's it. Give my money.
Give my money. And you know what? What I'm finding is I have, as I'm doing training or whatever, I have fewer and fewer cashier's checks to show because everybody's sending wires now.
Yeah.
It's not as sexy going, look at my computer screen. Look at my bank account. Look at my wire. It's cool to have that paper, But
awesome, man. Great information, man. Very simple process. I highly recommend you guys start looking into lease option assignments because it's definitely a money maker, a lot easier than your typical wholesale deals, and will yield you, in most cases, better results than your wholesale deals with less headaches as well. And John, I know you're a reader, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
What are you currently reading, man?
Man, I tell you, I'm reading the Miracle Morning. That's what I'm reading. I do a lot of audiobooks.
Me too. I'm a huge advocate of Audible, man.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of Audible. Right now I'm reading the Miracle Morning. I would say this. Here's a book I highly recommend everybody get. It's the book that got me started in real estate. It's old school. It's called The 1 Minute Millionaire by Robert Allen.
Yep. Great book, man.
That book got me started, and it's a fantastic book. And what's interesting, we were talking earlier about Tamara Aragon. The first time her and I did a Zoom call like this, she was coming on board with me. And behind her was a bookcase. I said, that's the 1 Minute Millionaire back there. She goes, yeah, that's what got me started. I said, no way. Yeah, 1 Minute Millionaire. Yep.
Awesome, man. 1 Minute Millionaire. I'll link it in the description box and the show notes as well. Listen, guys, this business is not hard. You really just have to, it all boils down to taking action. The problem is most people don't take the action. They don't do what it is that they say that they want to do to accomplish what it is that they want out of the business, out of life in general. They don't do it. So if you just did something, you're already ahead of everybody else. That's why there's a 99% and a 1%. Be a part of the 1%. And that's how you're going to be able to get what you want out of life. But John, man, it's been a real pleasure having you, brother. How can our listeners get in contact with you?
Yeah, you can go to leaseoptionclasses.com. That's leaseoptionclasses.com. That's the easiest way to learn a little bit more about me. There's some free videos there as well that we've got a link now to our YouTube channel that we're going to be adding more and more videos
awesome.
to. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm going to link your website down in the show notes as well, but I'm also going to link your YouTube page. I appreciate you sharing that. What is the YouTube page, by the way?
Why did you ask me that? I guess it's under Lease Option Classes. Dude, when you get to be as popular as I don't know. I pay people for this stuff, Jamal. I don't know. I just show up and look good, No,
that's fine, man. I'll find it and I'll link it. I'll have someone find it for me, and then we'll take it from there.
Cool, all right, man.
Any last words for our listeners?
Yeah, man. I tell you what, guys. Remember this, guys. It is on the edge of destiny that you will be tried. Right? It's on the edge of destiny that you will be tried. So when you're trying to get started in real estate, every time you hit that wall, every time things start to get a little bit tough, know that you are getting closer and closer. You're right on the other side. You're just on this side of your destiny, guys. So it's on the edge of destiny. You will be tried. Every time I face I get beat in the face with something, I'm like, all right, hold my beer. Something good's about to happen. Let's make this happen.
Awesome, man. Listen, guys, if it's on the edge of destiny where you're going to be tried. Did I say that right?
Yep. It's on the edge of destiny that you will be tried.
It's on the edge of destiny that you'll be tried. I love that. I like that quote, man. It's going to make me think about it all day long now.
Oh, good. Good stuff, man.
But listen, John, it's been a real pleasure, brother. At the end of the day, like I said before, if you guys really want it bad enough, you'll get out there and do the necessary things that it's going to take to get it. So get out there and get the work. And I'll talk to you guys on the next one.